Good morning. In continuation to part 1 discussion on Goods and Services Tax Act, we are now proceeding to this latter part of the video. And last video we have discussed the Goods and Services Tax was introduced by 101st Constitutional Amendment, by which concurrent powers were given to union and states to tax all supply of goods and services. And supply is the taxable event. We have discussed Article 265, which states that no tax shall be levied or collected except by authority of law. And we have mentioned Govind Sharan Ganga Sharan versus CST 1985 Supreme Court judgment. And GST is a destination based consumption levy, and it subsumed various taxes, 16 taxes, and avoid cascading of taxes, that is tax on tax. And we have discussed about Integrated Goods and Services Tax Act, which is a mechanism to find out the destination of the supply, to which state the ultimate destination, which state is the ultimate destination of the supply of goods or where it was consumed. And IGST provides for finding out location of the supplier and place of supply. Location of the supplier, where from which supply is made, and the place of supply. These two mechanisms are required to ascertain which law is to be applied and the benefit of taxation will be given to which state. Of course, half of it will go to the union, and the remaining half is to be given to which state, the consumption state. That has to be decided through the place of supply mechanism. We discussed on zero-based export, and import is treated as interstate supply. If goods are taken out by filing bill of entry and allowed to mix with the general mass of the goods in the country, it is exigible to customs duty and IGST. If sold in the high sea or through the customs area or in the warehouse, it is not taxable. Then in that connection, all duty-free shops at the airports and seaports are not chargeable to tax, as goods are not entering into the taxable territory. We have also stated that petroleum crude, diesel, petrol, aviation turbine fuel, and natural gas are presently out of the purview of GST, and alcoholic liquor for human consumption is permanently out of the purview of Goods and Services Tax Act. Now, with regard to place of supply and location of the supplier, in the case of KUN Motors versus ASTO, a 2019 judgment of the Kerala High Court, wherein a luxury car was purchased from KUN Motors Pondicherry by a customer from Trivandrum, Kerala, and the car was brought to Trivandrum. The question arose, the KUN Motors has charged CGST plus SGST, Pondicherry Goods and Services Tax Act. The consignment was stopped at Amaravela check post, and the Kerala Revenue argued that it's an interstate transfer. Now, the point for consideration came up before the High Court is that whether it is an intrastate transfer or an interstate transfer. The High Court held that any motor vehicle can touch the road only after registration under Motor Vehicles Act, and as such, when the car was exited at the gate of the KUN Motors showroom and touched the road in Pondicherry, for all practical purposes, its legal journey is completed and the place of supply is Pondicherry. So, location of the supplier KUN Motors Pondicherry, and place of supply is also Pondicherry. So, it is applicable laws are CGST plus SGST. So 50% of the revenue will go to the union, 50% will go to Pondicherry state. This is the conclusion arrived in KUN Motors versus ASTO, a decision reported in 2019 Kerala Tax Reporter, page number 301. In the case of San Jose Parish Hospital versus CTO, the question was supply of drugs and implants from the pharmacy to the patient in the hospital is to be separately taxed. As we are aware, in all the multi-specialty hospitals, their own medical stores will be available, and their medicines can be supplied to the inpatients and also to the outpatients. What the High Court said, considering the concept of mixed supply and composite supply in the GST, the court held that the supply of drugs and implants, various implants from the pharmacy to the inpatients in the hospital need not be separately taxed. It is not a sale, it is a composite supply. Whereas if it is supplied to an outpatient, if an outpatient comes and purchases some drugs and implants, definitely it will undergo taxation. Now in Safari Retreats Private Limited versus Chief Commissioner of CGST, matter came up before the Orissa High Court. It pertains to a shopping mall constructed in Orissa, a very big shopping mall constructed in Orissa. The question was the concept of blocked credit. Section 17(5)(d) of CGST and OGST, Orissa Goods and Services Tax Act, covers this concept of blocked credit. This concept says in the chain of continuity of revenue to the government, at any point of time, if the revenue is stopped, if the revenue is blocked, at that point of time, the taxpayer will not get the benefit of ITC, input tax credit. Here what happened, the taxpayer constructed a big shopping mall for the purpose of letting out to various tenants. And in the process of constructing a big mall, he has accumulated 34 crores of input on various inputs such as cement, steel, wires, plywood, lift, escalators, air conditioner, plants, including various consultancy services, engineering services, architectural services. So a huge amount of 34 crores was lying in his input. But the revenue has denied him, stating that it comes under the concept of blocked credit as further revenue is stopped. But actually further revenue is not stopped. That is where the High Court interfered and said after completion of this multi-level shopping mall, what he had done is he has let it out to various other big shopping companies, Reliance, etc., etc. So what happened, out of the rent paid from these lessors, further tax revenue is accumulated to the government. So the chain is not broken. The taxpayer, the constructor of the mall, will be get benefit of 34 crores of accumulated input tax credit. So he has to minus this 34 crores from his total tax liability. This 34 lakhs which is lying in his credit ledger, he can use it and pay the balance by way of cash. So this is a case where Orissa High Court held that what is contemplated is a situation where the inputs are consumed in construction of an immovable property which is meant to be sold. Here the difference, a slight interesting aspect. For sale of immovable property, there is no GST because sale of immovable property is not a supply. So normally when a sale and purchase transaction of any immovable property takes place, these transactions will not attract GST. Now take the example of an apartments. If in a multi-storied apartments, there is a slight difference. If one is purchasing a completed apartment in which a completion certificate is issued, there is no GST. If before completion one is purchasing, it is subdivided into two classes. If it is a affordable house, say 60 square meter up to 60 square meter it is 1%, and more than 60 square feet it is 5%. In any other case it is normal 18% tax. So completed building and incomplete building, if one is purchasing a completed apartment, after issuance of completion certificate there is no GST. So that in that scenario it is hit by section 17(5)(d) blocked credit. Further revenue is not accumulated in favor of the exchequer, and as such in such a scenario that builder will not get the benefit of input tax credit. In GST there is a committee for advance ruling. In case of doubt for any taxpayer as to any rate of tax or whether it is exempted, he can make an application by payment of a fixed amount. Make an application before the committee of advance ruling, and after deciding the committee will give a ruling which is applicable to that particular applicant, that this is the clarification. So such an interesting case came up before the committee of advance ruling by Malabar Parotha. Malabar Parotha is making ready-made packeted parothas, and their contention was that, as we have discussed earlier, for bread it is 0% tax. There is no tax on bread. Bread is also made up of maida, and parotha is also made up of maida. So the argument made before the committee was that Webster's dictionary defines parotha as flattened bread made up of maida. So they contended that this product is also a nil rated taxable item. But interestingly, the committee has rejected their contention, applying the commercial parlance test. Commercial parlance test is that suppose in a commercial parlance or common parlance, if somebody is sent to the market to purchase a packet of bread, he will buy bread only. He will not purchase paratha and come. So applying this commercial parlance test, the committee held that paratha is different from bread, though the dictionary meaning is equating it paratha to a flattened bread. They said you have to pay whatever rate fixed by the GST Council, and it is not a nil rated taxable item. The case law is Atin Krishna versus Union of India, Kerala Tax Reporter 513, decision of the Gujarat High Court. So, as we have already stated, if goods are passing through the high seas up to 12 Nottingham miles, it is territorial waters. Up to 200 Nottingham miles, it is territorial terrain. So if any transaction is taking place in the high sea, the tax law of Government of India is not attracted. Import of goods into India would commence when same cross into territorial waters, but continues and is completed when the goods become part of the general mass of goods within the country, the taxable event being reached at that time only when the good reaches customs barrier and the bill of entry is filed and the goods are taken delivery. So the High Court held that when the outgoing passengers purchase products from duty-free shops, they are not exigible to GST. Finally, an interesting case came up for consideration before the Supreme Court in 2019 as to whether sales tax or GST is applicable to clubs and high-end clubs. See, for example, whatever beverages and foods supplied to the members, whether it is exigible to tax, that was the question considered by the Supreme Court, and ultimately Supreme Court held that the members are paying the membership fee and the services are rendered to themselves. As such, this will not attract GST. However, Section 7 of CGST and SGST Act defines supply. It says supply includes all forms of services, of goods and services, or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, or disposal, made or agreed to be made by a person in the course of furtherance of business. It never says by a person to another person. So even the self-supply, as per the definition, will attract the concept of GST as the definition of supply goes. One more aspect which came to discussion very recently, that in apartments there are common services, monthly maintenance payable to the society for services of security arrangement, electricity supply in the common area, so and payment of security staff. So whether these maintenance charges will be amenable to GST. The issue, I think, it comes in the same angle, and I leave it for the audience consideration as to whether this will apply amenable to Goods and Services Tax Act, as so far the issue is not decided in any other cases. Now to conclude, GST was first applied in France way back in 1953, and subsequently, if you take as a model Singapore, there is a single tax rate to all products, 7% tax. Of course, for a country like India having this much diversity, it may not be possible to have one rate. And long back Chanakya told the ideal rate will be 16. So if you say the average of 0 and 28, approximately it comes to 16, or somewhere near 16. And there are, earlier when in 2007 there is question whether GST will work out or it may not work. Now it's the third year of implementation of Goods and Services Tax Act, and there is no going back. It is there, and let us see. Let us hope for the best. And with these remarks, I conclude this video. Thank you.